Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Eryka, I am. And this portion of my channel I have simply called Words and War, Words and Rhythm. It's an acronym for war actually, Words and Rhythm. And this is just where I share spoken word, I share music that inspires me. Hopefully someday, by the grace of God, I'll write and share my own music. But for the meantime, I just want to share some spoken word with you. This week has been rough for me. My big brother passed away 3 years ago. And every day, it becomes more and more real. Every time I expect him to show up and he doesn't, it becomes more and more real. Now, don't get me wrong, I got complete peace in God when it was happening. God assured me, He comforted me. He gave me understanding like no other. So I absolutely positively know my brother is better off. I am not at all sad or grieved in that sense. But I have learned that in grief, the Bible always tells us there is joy in the morning. Joy in the morning, like when the sun rises. But I dare to believe that there is joy in the morning. And those times when you can't stop crying. And those times where it hurts so bad and you can't move. When you don't want to bathe. You don't want to look to the left or to the right. You don't want to talk. You don't want to be talked to. Music doesn't work. TV doesn't work. Sex doesn't work. I know that pain. And in that pain, I want to encourage you that there is joy in that morning. M-O-U-R-N. So one of the things God gave me, my uncle, recently, I lost a few relatives. I've mentioned it before. But my Uncle Leroy is one that I miss, that I lost recently. And he was such a special individual, like amazing. And everybody says that, oh man, he's such a good individual. But really, he was really a good man. He was an army man, a family man. He cooked, he loved his children, he loved his grandfather, he raised his grandsons, not grandfather. He raised his sons, he looked out for his sisters. And when it comes to me, I'm one of a lot of nieces, 30 maybe, you know. So I always, I'm one of, but when it came to him, I was the only one. We had moments where it was just he and I. He said things to me that maybe he never said to anyone else. We got to do things together that he didn't do with other nieces and nephews. And I'm grateful because I can text him and he would text me back. Because back in the day when I was in middle school and had nobody to email, he would email me. And so when he passed and I see him laid out in this casket, it's just his shell, it's just his body. But it looks exactly like him. I don't see suffering. I don't see pain. I don't see distraught. All I see is peace. And in that moment, God spoke to me. And although I wrote the poem weeks before the service, when it was time to speak, God spoke to me and he said, now this is good grief. Nobody said you shouldn't grieve. Nobody said grief was wrong. But there is a such thing as good grief and bad grief. There's grief that leads you to the bottle, to the pipe, to sex, to gambling. But then there's grief that reconnects you with your gift. And on this channel, I talk about our gifts so much because this channel is my gift. What I do here, this is my gift. This is who I am. And I offer it to you because God has offered it to me, and I am just honored. But I sat down to write for him. And the one thing I remember was the weekend I spent with him in Florida. And I stayed at his home. And I hung out late with him and his wife. And I woke up early with him. And we sat in the garage. And he had plants lining the walls of the garage. And he had homemade squirrel feeders and bird feeders. And he had an outdoor awning. He was retired, a retired veteran. Like, he did his duty in the army for decades. Then he worked for Cox Media for decades. He was a supervisor. He did so much. And then finally, he was just like, I'm chilling. He would sit in one place for most of the day and be content. He'd love on God. He'd pray. He'd send his scriptures. But for the most part, he lived a life of joy. He lived a life that was so good that it's impossible to grieve. So I sat down and I wrote these words. A trillion words in the universe, but they all slip my mind. They tell me not to be sad. Believe me, I'm trying. That's why you see me smiling, not crying. Because love lives forever, so really there is no dying. And there's really no denying. We would love another day. So much we'd love to say, but in our own kind of way. We whisper sweet nothings of grace, and well, that's the good grief. See, you meant too much to them and to me. Sent so much love from Clinton to overseas. You lived out your own bucket list. You reached your own dreams. So So how dare I be sad when the eagle has got his wings? And yeah, it may sting because you mean everything. But we'll all taste your smile when we bite into fried chicken wings. We'll all hear your laugh every time the birds sing. And that's good grief. How great is our God for lending us to you. He let us be your family. He gifted us your trust. He taught us to war by the work of your hands. He gave us a second you and a son, and you raised a man. Love lets us know that your spirit is all right. You finally got your wings and entered into flight. So we refuse to be sad, no matter how many tears we gotta fight. Because your spirit lives in each and every one of us and shines its light. That's good grief, all right. They told me to be strong. It's you who showed me how. I'm so grateful you were here, but you're with mom and pop now. So us on earth will always have peace, simply because we know that love lives forever. And it's the Spirit of Christ that tells me so. And that's good grief. Rest in peace, Uncle Leroy. I love you.
How I survived. I can't say it was easy, but I'm still alive. God never left me. He stayed by my side. And I am so grateful He kept